Soja, what about A for action? Or
Action.
unconscious action.
Unconscious. It is unconscious. You see, if you're completely unconscious of the mechanics of this, then your actions are completely unconscious, and people end up doing things that they later regret, because once the blood returns to the brain and you can actually think about what you've done, then you see, oh, that's a regrettable thing that I did or said or whatever. Basically, I didn't control the virus of fear. I let the tiger in, and it mauled me, and it also mauled the person that I was engaging with. So yeah, the action is then an unconscious action. It doesn't add any light to the world. It only adds weight to the world. And so it's a stimulus response. So if you never engage, or how would I say, if you never put this particular technique into action, then you'll always be having a stimulus response all of your life. You'll never wake up, and you'll always be asleep, and you will be acted upon by reality, and you will pick, you've got like a set number of reactions, maybe one or two on the shelf that served you in the past, didn't necessarily work out that well for you, but it's familiar, and some people like the familiarity of a certain pain rather than the surprise of another. So although you could just completely eliminate it, but just talking within those parameters. So your action is destructive. Let's call a spade a spade, because it was a destructive story which caused destructive emotions, because it's destroying your body as well. We're having an active chemicalization of your body. It's such a complicated organism, and you're literally just firing all these chemicals, and they're bombarding like when bombs hit a war zone, and it's got, and all the mud just splashes up. Your organs and your cells and everything are completely under attack, and then you get like oxidation happening, free radicals being created and all this kind of stuff, and then organ damage, tissue damage, and so on.
And we know that stress is a killer.
Indeed, it's like one of the biggest causes of cancer, which inevitably is an end product of chronic irritation in some form or another. So yeah, the action then is destructive. So what we are saying is...
Well, I just want... can I say one thing before?
Of course.
Before we... say one thing.
There's plenty of time.
Excuse me, sir. That just as you were talking there, I didn't really want to interrupt you, but you were just saying about all these different responses that we could be having in different scenarios and situations, which then we kind of pick out like outfits really that we know go well together. Do you think then there's the danger if we're leaning upon the banister of action that a part of us can atrophy, this kind of innate instinctual part? It's a different
absolutely
instinct,
because of neuroplasticity, and it's not, I don't know, maybe we've mentioned this in the previous sessions, but neuroplasticity is your connections in your brain will form, and protein and everything will be dedicated to forming these channels in your brain the more you use that part of your brain. So that's why some people do brain training exercises and so on.
That's why it's 90 days to break or make a habit.
Make or break a habit, yeah. Absolutely, you atrophy that parts of your brain that you don't use. They just go away, like a little bit like that film, that Pixar film, when she's there hoovering up the balls.
Out,
and they're hoovering up the balls. Yeah, she doesn't need this. It's a little bit like that. So you're not using those parts of your brain, so they atrophy, and then new connections are made. So if you're having a very kind of dramatic stimulus response type life, then a lot of connections in your brain will suddenly go to that. That's why the addiction initially is very hard to break, because it's a deep groove, and all these connections are fired up, and they're very strong, and they've been they're like a tree, ring after ring after ring after ring. It gets thicker and thicker and stronger,
harder.
So the initial breaking down of that is hard because of the addictive nature of the hormones, but also because it's just so established. So then we try to, as we say, if we become aware of just the mechanics of this process, then we can go about refusing. It's like a great phrase I heard a few years ago, or I read it, and it was like, instantly dismiss negative thoughts. And I just felt this relief when I read it. I was like, instantly dismiss negative thoughts. I mean, you just feel this relief.
You have to have the courage to straight away and not sneak back and not and move on. And your mind will be screaming at you, as we said before, of this kind of ostrich in the sand thing.
And a beautiful little philo of awareness,
Thread.
thread of awareness, a little branch of neurological awareness starts building in your brain at the expense of this rotten old destructive tree trunk over here. So that one starts atrophying and this one starts building. And the more you practice, the more this starts building and the more this is diminished. And so that's neuroplasticity. Your brain is capable of developing new pathways all through your life. And so you can always improve yourself, self-improvement project we talked about. So you're building a better ship, Francesca.
Oh, and then
you're gonna have a better time.
Better relationship.
Indeed, the relationship with yourself.
Just to remind it.
Go on.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. The relationship you have with yourself first and foremost. Because if you don't feel that your ship is very, stable and secure,
or even enjoyable to travel on,
taking water in, and you're constantly freaking out that you might drown.
You're freaked out what everyone thinks of your ship. You're kind of like paranoid. Then, so we're just trying to maintain our ship. We're just trying to do a bit of maintenance on ourselves. That's kind of it.
Keeping it ship shape, keeping ourselves
ship shape.
Nice little quote there. Ship shape selves. Can you say it fast? Ship shape selves. 3 times.
Ship shape selves. Ship shape blah blah blah.
Ship shape selves. Ship shape selves. Ship shape selves. Ship shape selves.
Almost. You are very good at tongue twisters.
I love an old tongue twister. I do. We got the red leather, yellow leather one's great as well. Can you see if you can do that one at home, ladies and gentlemen?
But we said we wouldn't.
That's verging off. I was going to get you to do it now.
No, absolutely not. Not with my big, thick Irish accent.
I can't do it.
No.
I won't do it either.
So the way in which you see if you are lost at S.E.A. is you use that. Is it porthole? You said the window you look out through a ship in, and see how are your seas? How are they sitting? Are they calm? Are they tossing about? Are they smashing into your ship?
This is a different thing altogether. This isn't the S.E.A. This is a new thing. Just in case people are trying to link that with the other one.
Okay.
I should tell people.
Okay.
I'd be going. So how is that connected with? Basically, it's a lovely analogy that we've come up with, where if you want to kind of take your pulse, you look through the porthole here, and you see how your sea is.
Yeah, or even down in your solar plexus. Or did you call it here? Celiac plexus?
Oh yes, celiac plexus, yes.
Yeah. And then you see how you feel. How is it? Is there a
stormy seas?
A storm? Is there a storm going on right now? A typhoon, or is it nice and calm? And if there is a storm and you feel that, and you become aware of your physical signs, physical flares being, lit for your benefit by the intelligence of the body, then you can say, okay, I'm telling myself a bad story.
Yeah.
So I must be telling myself a bad story, and I must be telling a bad story about another person or about the circumstance, and so on. And then it's a domino effect, as I said, but bring it up to the conscious level. Our job here is to bring it up to the conscious level of reality, where you've got the celiac plexus is the interaction of the conscious and the unconscious. Let's bring it to the conscious and feed more brain branches and more blood flow to that area, and just feed the good beast, so you're not being ravaged by the bad one.
Yes. A good we don't like the lion eating a tiger with. Anyway, so I didn't realize you were connecting the portal with what we were speaking about. So if you don't wake up at the moment of thought, at the moment of your story that you're telling yourself,
you can go back. There's still time.
There's always time. If you want to do a pulse, checking your pulse energy, then you do it by doing this portal. So you just literally feel, if you were seas right now, what would be happening? Would you be rough seas? Would you be tranquil seas? What would be happening right now? And then and then you can stop and actually be a bit of an explorer and go, okay, where is this energy in me? Like we've spoken before, where is this kind of feeling of pressure? And is it being linked to something that is in my head, a story I'm telling myself, the emotions that I'm feeling from the fallout of a story that I've just told myself recently? Or am I looking at the actions that I've taken pretty unconsciously.
You're lovely.
You're lovely. That I've taken pretty unconsciously. You know, not that this is what people are going to be doing at home, but you know how they say murderers, you know, like people who do it there and then, not premeditated.
Manslaughter.
Kind of just wake up, well, not a car accident, but like people just like go, oh my God, they just have the gun in their hand. They didn't even realise what they did, or the knife or something.
There's an example of a very bad story going wrong.
That's like really bad. That's like you do the action, you know.
And it's over before you know it. The action's already done. You're like, oh. It's like there's no reversing that. It's obviously...
Like the fact that someone is going and they regained consciousness, and then they kind of say, oh, I was mad or whatever, and they use that in court. Well, you actually
Temporary
were.
insanity, yeah.
You actually were mad. You had no control of what you were doing because you haven't done the work to stop and bring consciousness to your S.E.A, to your reaction. Can't think of the word. Your reaction. I can't think of the word. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
I don't even know what I'm saying. Anyway, moving on.
So have we kind of covered
I think
that?
we've done that.
Yeah.
I think we've done that in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So yeah, feel free to turn off. We're going to be rambling for the next hour and a half.
We're going to meander.
Well, this is the first time we've done an advert.
Yes,
we did a short, and in fact, actually, just before we did the short, we arrived.
Yeah.
Oh, and they are figs.
There are figs on it.
There are figs on there.
Like this size.
So
we'll be ready to eat in about a month, maybe.
Month and a half will be
early spring figs.
Scoffing. And this tree behind us here.
Yes.
We just found out yesterday.
From a good friend of ours yesterday, because we were out
lovely friend of ours
elderflower picking to make elderflower cordial and elderflower gin.
Yes,
which we'll be covering and be with us in the kitchen.
We didn't do any recording this time.
No, because it's the beginning of the season. We have plenty of time.
It's the best, guys, and it's so easy.
She told us about famous dish here. Is it here or somewhere else?
Basically, no, here, I think. Here.
Yeah, go on.
Well, we've cooked elderflowers before. You can kind of make a batter, or you can literally just whisk an egg. You can make a beer batter, or you can just whisk an egg, dip it in the whisked egg, then dip it in a bit of flour and breadcrumbs mixed together, or just flour, or just breadcrumbs, and then fry it.
Whatever you have.
And we don't eat too much fried food, but like that's just.
Well, I wasn't even.
So, it's just.
It was so light. Like afterwards, there was no.
Good. It's so
problems at all.
And then she said, because we were picking that, and then she was like, "Oh my God, why? The only flower I know you can eat is acacia." And I was like, "Oh yeah, like acacia honey, but we don't know what that looks like."
Well, sorry, just strangely enough, we had gone because I wasn't wearing my glasses, and quite in the distance there was this tree dripping with white, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's probably
It looks a bit like wisteria."
Yeah, but it was.
Sorry, when it was
very far away, I was thinking elderflower. This is elderflower. Well, we can pick our first bag of elderflowers for the season. And we got close. It was this other thing, and I'm like, oh, okay. And we were kind of like, okay. But there was actually another elderflower tree that we got to afterwards. But then she told us, immediately when we came back,
it was so odd because all we could see was elderflowers and this flower that looked like wisteria, kind of this white wisteria mixed with lupin or something, and lupin, hanging like short, hanging, and then. So anyway, the lovely Claudia said, no, it's these ones, and she showed us photos, and we were like, they look just like the plants that we were just looking at like 2 minutes ago. And so we went and picked some to bring it back to her to see if they were right, and she was like, yeah, you can eat them. And so we actually went with a friend and just ate anyway, because he was like, yeah, they're totally
well, he looked in his phone and said,
he was like, yeah, that's it.
Because obviously you check the flower and then you check the leaves, and the leaves the same. And then we pulled them off and ate them, and
then
raw.
And then the two of us and Angelo died. We're actually ghosts right now.
Yeah.
No, and then we ate them raw, and they were so sweet. The nectar was just, oh my God, guys, it was just.
It was like eating.
I don't even know.
It's the closest thing is fresh peas.
It was peas, but with honey or something.
Yeah.
It was
a little bit like fresh peas mixed with honeysuckle. Is that right?
It was so good.
But it's like obviously a little bit tamer.
I don't know if you can eat honeysuckle.
And what's the one that we used to eat when we were small? You used to take it off and you'd suck the.
Oh, is that honeysuckle? I think that might be honeysuckle because Catherine said something about that.
Okay.
I remember.
Okay, let us know.
Anyway, so then we were just walking here today, and the tree that's always kind of oddly shaped behind my head, which I've just had to get used to it for continuity, has that's an acacia tree, guys.
Yeah, as in the acacia honey.
Yeah.
And the bees take the pollen from the acacia and then make acacia honey, which is really good for your immune system.
So they're still quite small. So when maybe next week, we'll pick some and we'll eat them in front of you, and we'll show you the leaves, and you can.
It's lovely. Like last night we had a big massive bowl.
So then of course we picked a whole load last night. Actually, we still have some in the fridge.
They'll keep
Or did we
tomorrow
eat
then?
them all?
No, we definitely have loads.
No, we have some in the fridge. And what we did is we said, well, we didn't have time to make a beer batter. So we came back from
Because you have to leave that in the
practice.
freezer for half an hour, is it?
Yeah, or
Something
something
like
that. So I just did the normal one that I would do with zucchini flowers, with courgette flowers, where you're just literally, and we do with pumpkin, or squash really, and zucchini and whatever you want, or chicken as well, where you're literally just beating the egg. It's so easy. You're dipping it in
Why
the
don't
egg.
you do the bee with us at home right now? And people can just imagine.
And so you've got the eggs, you're whisking the eggs.
Go on.
Local eggs if you can. And
It's not actually a bad idea because you're taking people through the recipe.
I know. And then people
Yeah.
write it down. It's so easy. Everything I cook is easy. And then you just dip the flowers.
Predator.
That's what it reminded me of.
It's Predator.
That's what it reminded me of.
Okay, go on.
Just on camera.
Yeah.
Just flooded.
Gone.
I'm not even gonna. No, it's a lovely little bird. So anyway, you dip the acacia and look it up online. You dip it and then you put it in. It was mainly flour this time rather than flour and breadcrumbs because I wanted it to be delicate. And then you just fry it literally for a minute on both sides.
Shallow fried.
And it was, guys, it was so much better than I thought it was going to be. It was so good.
So we'll be doing loads of it in the future.
was
More so than elderflower. It's lovely.
Good. And then I read online you can do risotto with it as well, and I'm sure you can do cakes. And anyway, so there was a point. There was a method in this madness. There was a point to where we said that we were doing the short at the beginning of this episode. Oh yes,
yeah.
the sheep, the
goats.
goats.
Yeah.
So then
There'll be a lovely 4-minute video that we'll put up at some stage. Yeah, sorry. I was just including that. You can keep going.
I'm listening. So then we arrived and we could hear the goats. No, first of all we were like, oh, the goats aren't here today. And then we could hear the goats, and then they got louder, and we were like, are the goats like where we set up?
So
and
lovely.
they were everywhere, guys.
It's
And these
just
are
so
proper
lovely.
mountain goats. Their horns were ginormous, and we've met Elmas's goats before. But we haven't seen them in a couple of months, and we keep meaning to go and get some.
Well, we are going to
cheese
go
off
and
him.
do a be with us out and about and go to Elmas
Yes.
and meet his goats and see where he makes his cheese from the goats and all that.
But they were
and
so
milks them
cute.
and-
They were just literally ripping off bark and eating.
was
whatever
unbelievable
that
to see. They
could
were such
eat.
great-
They were jumping up on the trees, climbing.
They were such efficient herbivores. They were like they were taking the leaves off of stripping things off barks, like the things that you would think there's thorns and stuff. They'd go around the thorns
They
with
didn't
their.
care.
It was unbelievable.
It was
They were just
so
literally
cool.
mowing and just maintaining the area. That was great. And they came in around here,
Yeah.
all around or whatever, and it was these tiny little kids, like tiny little ones with little horns, and they were suckling the mammies. And there was big, massive billy goats standing on their hind legs to eat off the trees, and it was just so magical. I just thought so. They were such a regal creature. I was like, I never really
Good.
fully
So
saw
nice.
them before, like because I suppose they've never been like right in my face like that before, and it was lovely, wasn't it?
Well, it was lovely because they were kind of in nature, and Elmas wasn't here, kind of keeping them back and stuff.
Yeah.
Like he was talking to someone else, and they were just, the dogs were up there as well, and they were just kind of coming towards us, and I was like, they're coming they're like a meter from the picnic blanket.
Yeah.
They were so cute and lovely. So we've got a little bonus
4-minute
vid of that, which you guys get to see. So anyway, retreating from that to go back to the original point. Oh yes, we did a
Short.
So so basically for all the people that just watched our short and then came here
And have lasted to this
and
point.
have lost you guys
Because you're used to watching shorts.
It's going to be like this for the rest of the time. No, we're going to try and stick nautically.
Yes, we are trying to stick naughty. We did go a little bit straight there. So, society,
My hearties.
Ahar.
Swashbuckling
swashbuckling against the tiger, the fear
beasts.
tiger.
Well, yeah, it would be some kind of
He's got the claws. doesn't he?
kraken.
Kraken. Oh yes. He raises out of the deep
Yes.
and just pulls us down under, and we go underwater, and
we can't see.
we're drowning, and we're
understand.
floundering, and we're floundering as well. Yeah, like
Oh, no eating me.
no eating.
No killing Francesca's
Just
today.
a bit of choking and pulling down under the water.
Just a bit of, just to get a breath up for yourself. But that's what we're doing, and that's the
Yes.
other analogy we want to talk about. And this is
Yes.
something we've had for years and years and years and years, that we've always felt that it's like the whole of society is just like in this sea, and we're all just acting so differently in such odd ways, and it's just so weird. We're just kind of
It's a little odd.
It's just really odd.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's like instead of kind of stopping and going, well, why are we here, guys? You know, let's kind of hold on before we start freaking out.
Before we get going,
yeah.
establish a few facts.
Let's just,
or as much as we can.
Let's just have a look around, like open the peepers, have a look and check out what's happening. No, we don't do that. We go straight for panic. So we splash and splosh and flounder around and freak out.
Which isn't our fault because we're educated.
Of course, I mean,
No, I'm saying this is commonplace.
This is the general.
But it's not our fault. It's just
but this is the accepted kind of
mode,
manifesto of man, that we freak out like, and we don't stop and actually go, hold on, where are we? What's happening? We just go straight to fear maximus, and then act upon that and do the S.E.A.
Yes.
Story, emotion, action.